Hey folks, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I like cheap gear. Sure, most often you get what you pay for, but if you're only a part-time YouTuber or an occasional streamer, you can't really justify spending big bucks on cameras and lenses and lighting and accessories and all the stuff that goes with it. So what I have for you today are 3 cheap video light options ranging from about $15 to about $80 for the set. The first option I'm going to be looking at is a simple light bulb reflector. These come with a clamp and they can attach to just about anything that's 3 inches or less, and once you have them clamped they can point in pretty much any direction. You do have to supply your own light bulb, and I'd recommend a 100-watt equivalent LED bulb. You can get more powerful bulbs, however in my experience those more powerful bulbs tend to burn out pretty quickly or often have like weird LED patterns inside the light which end up showing up on your scene. A 100-watt equivalent bulb will put out about 1600 lumens. So the only other thing you really have to look for is the color temperature. You can get bulbs that are soft white all the way up to daylight. So if you are trying to use other lights in a room, if you have like a ceiling light or a lamp or something like that, or if you're shooting with the mix of daylight and you want to augment that daylight with a reflector, then you may need to buy the right bulb for the right shooting conditions. So you're going to pay about $10 for the reflector, and if you buy them in a 6-pack or something like that, less than $5 for the bulb. So all in, you're at about $15 for this option. The second option I have for you are LED work lights. These lights come in various shapes and sizes and brightnesses, but I found the sweet spot to be at about 35 watts, it's 3300 lumens. These lights come with this bracket on the back, which makes them pretty easy to mount to a light stand. And you get a pair of them for 30 bucks, so it's about $15 a piece. That's remarkably close to the reflector option. I've been using 2 of these lights for my videos so far. If you go back and look at any video in my channel up to this point, it was using 2 of these shot through umbrellas. These lights are small enough that I will frequently drag them down to the garage and use them as an actual work light. And they're so efficient that I've also used them with a battery inverter for my power tools and used it in the middle of the woods. Moving up the scale a little bit, we have an actual purpose-built video light from a company called Niwar. This thing has adjustable brightness, it has adjustable temperature, it has a built-in diffuser, as well as built-in barn doors for focusing the light. Now this panel comes in at about $65, but given the size and features of the panel, we may be able to save a little bit on accessories later. So now before we start comparing these light sources, we need to talk about accessories. There are 2 things that we need to be concerned with each of these lights: positioning and diffusion. This reflector will attach to just about anything. If you have a floor lamp, you can attach it to that. If you have a door frame, perfect. If you have a shelf, no problem. If there happens to be a stripper pole in your studio, you can put it on that as well. And you can aim it in any direction, so you don't need any kind of brackets or anything like that. So when I evaluate this guy, I'm going to evaluate with just these parts, just the reflector and the light bulb at a $15 total. Now with the floodlights, you may be able to makeshift some kind of attachment with clamps or screws or something like that on the back, but realistically, you're going to put these things on a light stand. So the $15 lamp, you'll also need $15 worth of light stand. Now another disadvantage of these lights is that while they are quite bright, all of those LEDs are crammed into a small 3-inch by 2-inch space. So you're going to get some pretty harsh shadows unless this thing is pretty far away. You're also going to want an umbrella to diffuse some of this light. Now umbrellas are pretty cheap. I think I got this one in a 2-pack for $14, so we'll call this 7 bucks. So now unfortunately you can't just duct tape an umbrella onto a mic stand. You kind of need a bracket to hold it as well. And that also helps because this light cannot point down. There is no way to angle it downwards, so a bracket will let you angle this light. Brackets aren't too bad. I want to say I got 2 packs for about $15, so we'll call this another 7 bucks. So all in, we're looking at about $15 for the light, $15 for the stand, and about $15 total for the umbrella and the bracket. So we're at about $45 for this option. So now for the video light, the bracket is made to go on top of a light stand. So we'll be putting it on a light stand. Luckily, the panel is large enough and comes with built-in diffusion, so we're not going to try to shoot through an umbrella or anything like that. And if you take off these barn doors, you can actually angle the panel down without requiring an additional bracket. So we're going to go with just the light and the mic stand. The light was $65, the stand's $15, so we're at about $80 for this option. Now, to test each of these options, I'm going to set them up as optimally as I can, and that's going to mean different setups for each of the different lights. For instance, the reflector will probably have to be closer than the other two lights, whereas the Niwar, since it's not shooting through a large umbrella, it may need to be pushed back farther. Now, I will take pictures of each of the setups before I start the test shots. And the test is going to consist of 3 different setups. First, I'm going to put an object in the middle of this table and just take some photographs of it. The metering of the camera should tell me how much light is actually hitting the object. So for the second test shot, I'm going to put some stuff in the middle of the table, but then I'm going to track around it in video. This would be something like B-roll footage, or if you're taking some product video. And it'll give you a better idea of how much texture the light is adding and where the shadows are falling and that kind of thing. And then the third test shot is just going to be talking head footage of me standing behind this desk, babbling just like I am now. So here's my talking head using the reflector and light bulb. I did have to throw a very thin sheet over the light because the shadows were just too harsh with just the bulb and the reflector. But here it is, and it's mounted right over there. So here is some talking head footage using the LED work light. It is the only light in the room. I've turned off all the ambient light and it is mounted right over there. So here is talking head video using the Niwar video panel. The panel is set to full brightness. It is very bright. It's almost kind of hard to look at the camera while doing so. So I think I'm going to do this video one more time with the brightness turned down a little bit. So this is the Niwar video panel one more time with the brightness turned down a bit. It's hard to say exactly how much since the yellow LEDs and the white LEDs are controlled separately. But I'm guessing this is probably about 3/4 power. And this is what it looks like. So let's talk about the reflector first. The reflector itself around the light didn't provide much diffusion. What was coming out of that reflector was very harsh light, practically unusable. I threw a sheet over it. It was actually screen printing fabric, which is just about the thinnest fabric you can find. So we were gathering as much diffusion with as little light loss as possible, and that made it look better, but it still didn't compete with either of the other two lighting options. Now, if you're on a very strict budget and you only have, $15 or $30 to spend on a light, 1 or 2 of those, it'll get the job done, especially if you can cover it with something like screen printing sheet. But if you have the means to get anything better, it's probably a better value not to spend your money on the reflector. So second, talking about the floodlights shooting through an umbrella looked really good to me. There's so much diffusion from that umbrella. Not only does it soften the shadows from the flood lamp itself, but it tosses so much light around the room that you could almost get away with the one light. But they're so cheap, it's only $15 to get another one. Granted, you have to buy stands and all the other junk that comes with it, but it's pretty pleasing light when you diffuse it properly. So I was very happy with the cheap little work lights. So now let's talk about the video panel light. It's by far the most full-featured light of the bunch. You have adjustable brightness, you have adjustable temperatures, you got the barn doors. It'll even run off of batteries. It's some goofy Sony battery that I don't have them, so I'm not going to use it, but you can run it off of a battery. It is a really full-featured light, and if you were in a setup where maybe you're setting up a dynamic scene with like a key light or something like that, or maybe you want like a very bright white light on a subject, but then you want to kick in some soft yellow light in the background or something like that. The panel light will do all that. It's got a ton of features. But if you're just starting out and your goal is to get some light into a scene and make things look good, it's probably overkill. So here I am shooting with two lights again. I have the video panel light on my left, your right, and then the work light on my right, your left. And I've balanced the video light to be roughly the same color, temperature, and power as the floodlight. And I think this is the way to go. If you're looking at spending potentially the $80 or so to get the video light and the stand, I would think I would probably spring the extra $10 or $15 to get two of the work lights, two stands, two umbrellas, because it's definitely much more pleasing and flat and more flexible to have two of the floodlights than one of the video lights. Even if the single video light is more capable, it's definitely brighter. You have a lot more control. If you're just starting out and you just need to get a bunch of light on you so the video looks good, then two of the floodlights are probably your best bet. So there you have it, some budget lighting options from $15 all the way up to about $90 if you went with the two floodlights. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you liked the rest of my videos, I would love it if you subscribed. And if you got anything to say, leave a comment below. I will see you next time.